Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Tonight we're sort of killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. Firstly, we're back to the land of the rising sun, and secondly, we're looking at vatted malts. Now, as you know, a vatted malt is a whisky that's produced from malt whisky from more than one or two or three different distilleries, and tonight we'll be looking at the pure malt range from Nikka. As you know, the malts in these particular bottles are sourced from their two distilleries, Miyagiku and Yoshi, and so it will be interesting to see how they stack up. I mean, you know, I think it was back in episode 10, I think it was, that we had a look at both the Yoshi and the Miyagiku, and so it'll be interesting to see how they combine and you know, what they taste like. So right, okay, a little bit of waffle first, as per usual. The range itself is named after the founder of the Nikka Distilling Company, one Masataka Taketsuru. I think I've just about got that right, and I think I'll just put my tongue back in place. And basically, he was born into a family that already currently owned a sake distillery, or a brewery as the case may be, which dated back to 1733. And so, you know, he knew a bit about brewing and what have you. And then in 1918 he decided that he wanted to further his studies in Scotland. So he studied chemistry at Glasgow University, and also did some training in various distilleries. Then 2 years after that, he returned to Japan with his then wife that he married in Scotland. He got together with another chap called Tori Shinjaro, and I believe he signed a contract or something like that to work with him for a period of about 10 years. They founded the Yamazaki distillery in 1934, and obviously started working together. Sort of 10 years later, I believe they'd kind of had enough of each other and probably wanted to kill each other, you know, swords at dawn and all that kind of stuff. And they both went their separate ways. Taketsuru went off and founded the Yoshi distillery and the Nikka company in 1934, and Shinjaro carried on and formed eventually the company that would become Suntory. That's a very, very brief bit of history for you. If you're interested, there's a really, really good book called Japanese Whisky Facts, Figures and Taste, written by a chap called Ulf Buxrud, which is a really, really good read, it has to be said. And there you go, quick plug for you, mate. And I would certainly recommend, if you're really interested in Japanese whiskies as a whole, track it down. You can certainly find it via his website, or probably on Amazon, I would imagine. So, but that's enough of the waffling. And I know what you want me to do is you want me to taste some whiskey. So, without further ado, let's make a start then. Right, okay, Taketsuru range, as you can see, there are three bottlings, three age statements in the range: the 12-year-old, the 17 and the 21. So we'll start with the 12-year-old, shall we? Oh, that's a gorgeous nose. Juicy, really fruity, lots of sherry tinged fruit, apricots, little bit of herbalness, a bit of fern maybe, but that's just now bringing out a lovely perfume note. floral, orange blossom, really gentle spices. That's a very full, very rich. Oh, that's just a gorgeous nose. That really is. Dense, lovely, lovely fruit to it. That's a beautiful nose. A little bit of earthiness now. Very complex. Okay, on to the palate then, shall we? Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, you get lots of the cherried fruit up first. Big mouthful of soft, ripe fruits. A little bit of leather, tobacco, and then moving into sort of the mid palate, you get some light coffee notes, bit more herbs, some lovely, lovely soft spices, and it just gently sort of meanders its own little path, and it just stays just so wonderfully fruity. Not particularly bitter on the end. There's a little bit of licorice, and a little bit of sort of very soft but slightly grainy tannins from the wood. But that's mouth filling and wonderfully soft, and the spices in that are just absolutely gorgeous. That is absolutely delightful. Really, really nice. Okay, on to the 17. So, what we're expecting from this? Well, we're expecting obviously a bit more maturity, but hopefully a continuation of that sort of rich fruit. Interesting enough, not a great deal of salinity on the 12-year-old, so I would hazard a guess that the bulk of the malt that goes into, certainly the 12-year-old probably comes from Miyagiku. But it had a crispness, should we say. I mean, it was not a sort of like a big sort of flabby monster. So stick my nose in the glass then, shall I? Yeah, that's more pungent, more oily, more obvious Oloroso, leafy, but there's some big American oak vanillins as well. Oh, and that American oak's got such a lovely maturity to it. Juicy. It's certainly showing more wood character. I mean, there's some lovely fruit. There's some lovely, slightly orangey and herbal fruit. But certainly the oak is certainly more noticeable. Again, some wonderful crumbly spices. It's a big nose. It's very powerful. It's pungent, but it's just so succulent, so soft. It is just a wonderful malt. I could smell this all night, But if I did, then we wouldn't get onto the 21, would we? Right. Okay. Enough about that. Let's palate time. Oh, rapturous. God, where do you start with that? Again, it starts with the quite leafy but round and supple Oloroso. A lot of fruit comes through on the mid palate with some lovely crumbly spices, and then just as it starts to fade out, in comes a little bit of charcoal, a little bit of peat, but it's just mouth filling. Not so much American oak. You don't notice the American oak so much. Again, it's the sherry seems to be in control. A little bit more noticeable tannin on the end. A little bit of bitterness, but there's so much sweetness and so much juicy fruit that it really is balanced out amazingly well. And that finish is just absolutely sublime. Like I said, you're getting some peat A little bit of smoke. It's a sort of more kind of charcoaly sort of smoke rather than sort of, you know, overt peat smoke. But oh, that is just absolutely stunning. Yeah, that, I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, most Japanese whiskies aren't, but oh, that unbelievably good. That is stunning. Oh, I'm looking forward to the 21 now. Ooh. Right, 21. Let's see what this is. I would expect there's going to be a little bit more oak. Interesting that on the 17 you started to get a little bit of sort of dried fruit, a little bit of sort of like oxidizing character amongst all that sort of luscious, juicy fruit. Certainly you could taste that there was a step up in maturity, but the quality, I mean, the quality was just as good as the 12-year-old. So let's see what the 21 has in store for us, shall we? Really fragrant. Follows on really from the 17 with that sort of fairly heavy Oloroso, but oh, it's kind of like turned up a notch. Some really juicy vanillins. Oh, amazing, lovely spices. Touch of dried fruit, walnuts, licorice, maybe some dark chocolate. Oh, it's just so fragrant. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, I bet you wish you were here smelling this as well, because this is absolutely stunning. I mean, that citrusy orange fruit is just so pure. It's like essence of orange. Little bit of floral character coming out now. Touch of earthy peat. This is just seriously complex. I mean, it's layered. I mean, you really have to kind of like sort of work through the sort of the layers of this whiskey. I mean, this is just unbelievably good. Oh, wonderful stuff. Right, palate. Looking forward to this one. That is amazing. A little bit more grippy. Obviously there's a little bit more oak. It is kind of gripping in on the sides, but it's got such a beautiful core of earthy, rich fruit. Again, some sort of peat notes, old wood, licorice, dark honey, malt, little bit of burnt wood. And the spices again. I mean, the spices are wrapped up in the tannins, and they are a little bit on the dry side, and it does not so much bitter the finish, but the finish is quite dry. But again, there's just the length on it is just unbelievable. All these wonderful wood notes and spices are just coming through sort of on the finish, and it's just unbelievable. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Right, okay, shall we let's wrap this up. Firstly, I would like to say a big thank you to Eau de Vie for sending me the samples of this range and allowing me to taste such a wonderful array of whiskies. The 12-year-old, it's about the 40 quid mark. I mean, as you know, Japanese whiskies are not cheap in the grand scheme of things, but certainly I think you certainly get what you pay for, even at the lower levels. I mean, you know, we all know that the Japanese are sort of obsessed with quality and just getting things spot on, and the 12-year-old is spot on. Again, you know, lovely, rich, boisterous, relatively youthful in the scheme of the range. Fruit, full. It's a whiskey you can really, really enjoy. It'd probably work well with a nice cigar as well, I imagine. But who knows? Maybe we'll do that at some stage. 17-year-old. I mean, we're not exactly sort of stepping up in quality. We're probably stepping up a level in complexity. That additional aging is obviously giving you sort of like the more dried fruits, a little bit more oak, a little bit more complexity, at around a sort of like 50-60 quid mark. You're into sort of like premium territory, I guess. Again, absolutely no faults whatsoever. No blemishes to the sherry. And wonderfully harmonious. Not only the sherry, you're getting the American oak as well, and just absolutely gorgeous. And the 21, well, what can you say? Price tag of around about £100 a bottle. Some people may well go, ooh, that's a bit much, but stunning, absolutely stunning stuff. If you can afford it. Or if you're splashing out on a special occasion, the 21 is just sublime. There's more oak. It is a little bit drier, but it still retains that core of juicy fruit, and the complexity is just unbelievable. It is just staggeringly good. All these wonderful wood notes, a little bit of peat. It's a superb bottling. It has to be said. So, if that's kind of whetted your appetite, so to speak, for the Taketsuru range, all three of these are currently available on our website, www.gauntleys.com. You can also read my tasting notes on my WordPress blog, not only obviously of the Taketsuru range, but obviously all the Japanese whiskies that I've tasted, along with everything else that I've tasted since the dawn of time. And I really recommend them. I mean, I love Japanese whiskey. I've got a thing for it. And yeah, I know they're expensive. But and the but is that the quality is there. You just cannot fault these whiskies for the quality of what's in the bottle, and they've revamped the packaging as well, and I think looks pretty hoopy. I mean, before all you got was just a bottle, but they're when you're spending sort of several tens of pounds, you want sort of something that looks a business, and hats off, the design of this is pretty sharp, I think. So there you have it. The Taketsuru range. Might not be able to say it properly, but I can certainly drink it. Right, okay. So, all that's left to say is I hope you enjoyed watching this episode of the show, and I know a number of you do, and hopefully you watch it religiously. And all I can say to you is thank you very much, and good dramming.
Feel the trap, kiss the flame, feel the pain in the furnace of our love. Come on, moment, talk to me, sing a sweet song of despair. Give your body, give us all.
But first, a little bit of waffle as per usual. The range itself is named after the founding father of Japanese whiskey, and certainly the founder of the Nikka company, Masataka. Jesus. Got together with another chap called Japanese names.